tonight on this Friday evening. Mahalo for joining us in this gathering of education. Is what we're trying to do. Just a real quick story about what we're doing here. This is part of a series that I'm trying to put together called Hawai'i Aloha. So everybody's kind of familiar with that mele and that feeling that comes out that you feel when you sing that song. Yeah, Hawai'i Aloha, and kind of that gathering and everybody, and we're all one, we're all together. And the aloha for our Aina. And so in these days, and for our whole life, we've been provided this information, sometimes not given information at all. And so what we're trying to do is just create a venue, because obviously there's the interest. There's the interest, everybody's here, just to create a venue for us to come together and educate ourselves. And however we choose to use that education or think about the education is up to every single one of us. Everybody has our own right to our own decisions, but at the very least, to put this out there. Yeah. So again, mahalo everybody for coming. Just a few things before we get started. In the back there, there's some water and some juice, some poke, some kulolo, so please help your guys out before it goes. On the other table, we have a sign-in sheet. If you guys can please sign in. And that's just your name and email, just so that I can, like I said, this is part of a series. So we'll have more things coming up this year and hopefully next year as well. So that way I can kind of keep in touch with you guys and send you guys information so that you guys are aware of what's going on. Because I know we're any kind of fancy advertisements, it's Facebook and word of mouth and that's it. So if you guys can put your emails down there. There's some books you guys can take a look at and these red ribbons. And we'll get into these red ribbons, if not in the presentation at the end, after the question and stuff like that, I'll make a little announcement. But there's some letters over there, there's some books, so go ahead and take a look at it. There is a bag of red ribbons too, so if you're not sure what it is, then hang around and then we'll get to that eventually. But without further ado, tonight we have Dr. Keanu Sai here with us, so we're very fortunate. Mahalo nui for making the time to come out and join us. And he's going to present information to us basically on the legal and political history of Hawaii and its current standing today, and how the past 120 years or so, what happened and how that affects us and what we're doing today. And so, again, Dr. Keanu Sai, mahalo nui.
Aloha. Aloha. Wanna mahalo Kaho'okahi, Kanuha for putting this together. Actually asked them, hey, so who's behind all of this, setting it up? Oh, me? Really? Anybody else? No, just me and people I work with and friends. I was like, hey, you're right on. You know, so he was able to make it where I can fly out. I flew out here, got here about 4:30. I'll be flying out back home tomorrow because I gotta go tailgate UH football tomorrow morning. I got season tickets. Come on, you guys gotta win. My son also plays on a team too, so I gotta show up. So I said, okay, I'm here tonight, but I gotta get back. I guess what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna share with you a part of history that you folks probably know, okay? Because I'm noticing that this information is really taking hold in the community, yeah? But it's information that we teach at the university, okay? We teach it. So I'm not here presenting it from a sovereignty perspective. I'm not here presenting it from a cultural perspective. I'm here presenting it as a political scientist. So my PhD is in political science. I specialize in international relations and public law. So my focus is in the law area. I got a few law journal articles out. My dissertation, I have a textbook that is now being used in the college and high school levels. So this, I believe in education. Education is crucial, okay? Because people need to make decisions, and if you're gonna make a decision, make sure it's an informed decision, okay? Not doing it because somebody said to do it, okay? The one thing that I believe in is family, yeah? Take care of your family, okay? Take care of yourself, and then everything will follow from there, okay? Now, what I'm going to present to you is Hawaii's history. Hawaii's history as a country. Move this way so you folks can see. Okay, so the country, it's called the Hawaiian Kingdom. Okay, not some sovereignty group calling themselves the Hawaiian Kingdom. The Hawaiian Kingdom as a country. So give it some better context. My great-grandfather, William Kuakini Samerson from Napo'opo'o, was born in 1880. That's my tutu's dad. He was born in a country called the Hawaiian Kingdom. Okay, that's the kingdom I'm talking about. Okay, the country. Okay, the problem is I didn't know anything about that country. I didn't know anything about the Hawaiian Kingdom when I grew up. Okay, but there's a reason, and I'm going to get into that. I'm going to provide some answers to these kind of questions. But when you talk about my great-grandfather, that's only 2 generations back. You know, I went to Kamehameha. I didn't learn anything about the Hawaiian Kingdom, other than we have to be civilized, yeah? Or that the missionaries came. Everything was focused on missionaries, how powerful they were, and how we didn't understand the Western concepts and blah, 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 blah. Yeah? I found out later that was all wrong. All wrong. In fact, one of my students sat in one of my classes, and he had his focused a lot on Hawaiian studies. Yeah? And he took my class. It was a graduate level course. And he was making it as if the haole and the missionary controlled the Hawaiian Kingdom. You know, because that's what you hear. Yeah, they took away the land. They forced Kamehameha III to make up mahele. They created a constitutional system, blah, 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 blah. So then I said, so you actually believe that the missionary and the haole controlled the Hawaiian Kingdom, which is America? I said, yeah, America controlled the kingdom. Then if they controlled it, why did they have to overthrow it? You don't overthrow something that you're in control of. Now granted, after the overthrow, absolutely, control came. But not before, and that got him to look into the issue of land titles. And he came out in his master's thesis on the mahele. And it was a completely different version than current understanding. And he relied on original source information, yeah, both Hawaiian and English. Okay? And his master's thesis was voted the best master's thesis in the Pacific Rim. Yeah? Graduate. And now he is getting his PhD in geography. And I'm sitting on his doctoral committee along with other professors. Okay? So at the university, we're still going through that paradigm shift. You know, enough blame. Explain. Don't blame. Explain. You can't explain? Don't blame. Go learn. Yeah? So there's a olelo no'eau that I use a lot, and it refers to the Kaho'okahi, the water gourd. Yeah, it's a proverb. So the water gourd represents the person, and water in the gourd represents knowledge. And the gourd with a little bit of water makes the most noise when you shake it. You guys got that one? So when you hear a lot of swishing, it's called, brother, get more water. Go fill the gourd. Yeah? But there's a reason why we didn't know. So it's okay to swish. Yeah? But it's not okay to continue to swish when you can fill the gourd. Yeah? So I don't want people to move from ignorance to arrogance. I want people to move from ignorance to enlightenment. Yeah? Now you know. And Confucius, you know, this Chinese guy, Confucius, the philosopher, he said, it is best to be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. So fill the gourd with water. Yeah? What I like about this has nothing to do with culture, although I'm very proud to be Hawaiian. This has nothing to do with language, although I do know that I need to learn the language even more than pass my 300 level at UH back in the 80s. Yeah? This is law. This is history. This is political science. And it applies to everybody. And you know what I find when I'm at the university and I'm teaching classes? The ones who get it the quickest are the ones not from here. The ones who have the hardest time are the Hawaiians from here. They take it the hardest because they got all that baggage. Yeah, I used to have that baggage, you know, but you just gotta hemo, let it go. And then once you start to understand, you start to see where you're going. My background is military. I'm a retired captain. The practical value of history is that it's a film of the past run through the projector of today onto the screen of tomorrow. That film never changes, but your projector got to get updated. Yeah? Once you update your projector, you now see something you didn't see before. See, that film, we call it in the military, it's called intel. Yeah? That projection of what you get from the intel is called a battle plan. And you always are open for more intel. You never think you know everything, because if you make a decision, because you like be somebody, then people die. You're always open for information. And one thing that we learn in the Army, it's called after-action review. Yeah, critique. And I gotta admit, when I first got in, I didn't like being critiqued. You know, every Hawaiian, I think, no Hawaiian likes to be critiqued. You like beef already, what? What you mean you questioning what I say? Well, at least in the military, it's good to accept the questioning because that's how you learn from it and you develop the battle plan. So you learn from mistakes, you capitalize from successes. Can you understand how history is very important? Yeah? And you're going to see that everything that I talked to you about today, I'm only talking history. I'm talking about things that happened. I don't ever talk about what's going to happen. Yeah? I'm not into predicting the future, but I can tell you what happened. And from what happened, you know what's going to happen. It's inevitable. Okay? That's why the value of history. Again, it's a film of the past. Run through the projector of today onto the screen of tomorrow. Focus on the film. Don't focus on what you want to see. Because what you want to see is already prejudiced. We call that confirmation. It's called presentism. See, in university, when you do your research, you come up with your hypothesis, yeah? Which is your educated guess, yeah? Your assessment. And that hypothesis comes from the word hypothetical. So it's an educated guess. What you're supposed to do is, before you do the research, you got to test your hypothesis against a recognized theory. What you don't want to do is to prove your hypothesis. Because when you prove your hypothesis, you're only confirming what you think you know, which is the hypothetical. Yeah? And that's when it becomes a problem. And that's when it starts to get taken out with information. So that's why what's going on at the university, there's a collision course that has started, and it's still going on, between what people thought versus what is. And we're talking professor level. Yeah? It's almost like we've been playing football using baseball rules. Yeah. And we're always wondering, why are you getting taken out? Brother, that's a pulling guard. Get out of the way. But we don't know, because we think we're playing baseball. And then when in doubt, blame the holding. Yeah? It's his fault. Again, these are just concepts that I want to bring out, yeah? So that when I get into this, you'll understand it. And what I request from you folks, don't try to hear it through your own paradigm. Okay? Make it as if you never heard this before. Make it like first time. And then we ask the questions. Okay? But naturally, when you're going to hear this, what always comes up is, now what? What now? Now you told me this is all upside down. Okay? Well, let me explain to you everything upside down first before I say what happened on the now what in the past. Yeah? Which could be a day ago, a month ago, a year ago. But again, I'm not talking future, I'm talking past. Okay, so I'm going to show you a short video. And this video won it was in a film festival. And it was 5-minute film, and it focused on what was going on at the University of Hawaii. So everybody you're going to see here is their research at the university, whether PhDs, PhD candidates, professors, and so forth. You're going to even hear some people speaking with an accent, like German accent. Yeah? Okay. That's all at the university level. Okay? So with that, why don't we start that 5-minute clip.
I try to have some really interesting guests, and today we have a really, really interesting guest. This is Dr. Keanu Sai, sitting on my right. We're going to be talking about a suit that was filed by Keanu. This suit is against Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton, Robert Michael Gates, Robert Willard, and Linda Lingle.
Imagine, whole life you thought you were a doctor, only to realize you're actually kidnapped. For our purposes, Hawaii was kidnapped and treated like it was a doctor. Hawaii is not, and never has been, a part of the United States.
Well, Keanu Sai is at the cutting edge of research concerning the national question.
I'm not looking at Hawaii's history through the ethnic lens. I'm not looking at Hawaii's history through the cultural lens. I'm looking at Hawaii's history as a political scientist.
his scholarship, I think, is light years beyond what many, I think, had ever imagined it would be.
Now, what I'm going to present to you is a history that you may not know. Back in the 19th century, there was actually a country called the Hawai'i Kingdom that had embassies all over the world, that had a U.S. embassy in Honolulu. The Queen was actually the head of state of a foreign country.
1840, you have our first constitution,
A Supreme Court, a Parliament, a Bill of Rights.
The president has afforded full recognition on the part of the United States of the independence of the Hawaiian government.
Basically, that's the first instance anywhere of a non-Western political entity to become recognized as a state.
And now we get to the most critical time in the history of Hawaii, namely January of 1893.
In January 1893, a small group of insurgents conspired with the U.S. minister and U.S. naval forces to illegally overthrow the government of the Hawaiian Kingdom.
standing in Honolulu near the Aloha Palace, they read this proclamation claiming to be the new government with the guns behind them.
American Ambassador Stevens recognized them as being the government, which of course was completely ridiculous because how can you recognize a group of 30 people who hang out in front of the government building and say they're the government? But he did, because that was the whole deal, that was the whole conspiracy to do, right?
Lido Kalani, she knew the rules, she knew the game, she knew international law.
Now the Queen, she knew Grover Cleveland personally. So he appointed the former chairman of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, James Blunt.
James Blunt is a fact finder and investigator. He comes to Hawaii, does his report, sends it back.
And it becomes crystal clear who is right and who is wrong.
An executive agreement takes place between Queen Kalani and President Grover Cleveland, which settles the dispute.
But you have there are two binding agreements, which according to U.S. federal law is the supreme law of the land, and according to international law are binding treaties.
So Willis goes to Dole and says the president wants you to step down and put the Queen back on the throne, and Dole refuses.
It became very, very obvious to everybody in America that the Hawaiian nationals did not want this annexation at all.
And they can't get their two-thirds majority.
So, two attempts at a treaty, 1893, 1898, both attempts fail.
The Spanish-American War breaks out in Cuba, which has nothing to do with Hawaii, and now we have to annex Hawaii as a war mission.
August 12, 1898, the start of the American occupation of the Hawaiian Islands.
I mean, Hawaii could no more become a part of the United States through congressional act back in 1898 till today. Then the United States Congress can pass a law saying Iraq is a part of the United States now.
These historical events have profound ramifications on today's present condition in Hawaii.
I thought we were part of the United States. I served in the military, and I was fine with it. But once you start to entertain the idea that maybe you're not an American, maybe I am in the wrong army, it starts to play on my grandmother. In Hawaii would say tutu. My tutu got ill with cancer. She just said to me, promise me, Keanu, that you will know your genealogy. She says, when you know your genealogy, you will know who you are and what you need to do. I don't present an argument. All I'm doing is presenting history. And I believe that because we've been indoctrinated into believing something that's not true, we should interrogate that history. 100 years of lies is not diminishing. And what is surfacing is the truth. And that truth is